First thing you're going to do is take your mapping string. You're going to take the mapping string and line it up with the Cupid's bow on the lip and the center of the nose. Press it against the skin and drag one direction. Come back, hold a smaller piece to finish your line. Okay, after this step, you will add your mapping sticker. You're going to apply this center line on top of this center line. You're going to peel this off the sticker and apply this as even as you can. I like to start with the center first and then lay the two sides. Once you have that, you're going to now define where the brows are going to start. I use the ball of the nose. You can also use the corner of the nose. You can also use the corner of the eye. The way you choose between the three is going to be whichever lines up closest to where the eyebrow hair starts. You never want your line to start over too far where there's no hair. You want it to blend in with the natural hair. If I use the corner of the nose, you can see it's going to cut off a lot of the start of her brow. If I use the corner of the eye, it's going to be the same thing. So it's looking like the ball of the nose is going to be the best option. So I push it against the skin and make a line. Whatever I do on the mapping sticker is what I'm going to do on the opposite side. So I did the first notch, so I did the same on the other side. Now we're going to define where her brow is going to end. You're going to take your string and put it in the corner of her nose, and then you're going to line it up the corner of the nose to the outer eyebrow. And whatever you do on one side, you're going to do the same on the opposite. So push this in the corner of the nose. So this is where I'm going to take my caliper ruler to double check that all my measurements are even. So you can start with the center line of the brow and where the brow starts on the left side, and make sure that it's the exact same for the other side, which you can see it is. Now I'm going to take the start of the brow from where the brow is going to end and make sure this is even. You take it and line it up with the other side. And you can see that it's even, so I can move on to the next step. Next, I'm going to define the height of the arches. This is not going to tell us where the arch is. It's just going to tell us the height of the arch, because you don't want one eyebrow to be higher than the other, so we need these to be on the same line. So you're just going to make a line in the center of the brows. This is where you can use the center part of the sticker because to connect them. And once again, you want to get as close as you can to where the hair grows. And if your line is a little light, you can always go back over it to darken it. Okay, now we're going to define where the arch will be. To do so, we're gonna do the ball of the nose through the center of the eye. I'm gonna place my string here, and I'm gonna have my model open up and look straight forward. That way I can make sure my string is going through her eye. When you're doing this, you want to feel for the brow bone, and you also want to pay attention to where the natural arch is. You don't want to just create one. Also, you want to make sure that 2/3 of the brow is made from the start to the arch. 1/3 is from the arch to the tail. So you want the shortest part to be arch from tail, the longest part from be arch to the start of the brow. And whatever you do the exact same thing on the other side. And we're gonna take our caliper ruler again to double check our measurements. I'm gonna measure the start of the brow to the arch and make sure it's the same on this side. And they are even, so we can move along. Next, I'm going to make a line from the bottom of her brows where the hair grows. Okay. A lot of times I like to freehand this, but you can also use this center line for this. So I like to fold this sticker and move it out the way. And all I'm doing is connecting where the hair grows on both sides of the brows at the bottom. And try to get this line as straight as possible. And then you'll press it in the skin and drag one direction. When doing this line, we're also going to make this line cross from the start of the brow all the way to the tail. The reason so is because this line going through will tell us where our tail will end. We know our tail is going to end here, but we don't know where. We don't want one tail down here and one up here. So we're going to have this line go all the way through. Okay, now what we're going to do is the same thing we did here to connect the bottom of the brows. We're going to do the same thing for where the hair grows at the top. So once again, get as close as you can to where that hair is growing. Now, unlike the bottom line where we made this line connect to the tail, we do not have to do that for this line for the top of the brow hairs. This line will end where the brows start. These two lines here, start of the brow, and that line will end there. I'm just going to darken it a little more. All right, so what I like to do now is take my gel pen, and I like to make dots where my lines intersect. So the first dot I'm going to make is going to be, I can also remove this sticker, I don't need it anymore. My first line dot is going to be where the start of the brow meets where the hair grows at the top. I'm going to do the same thing at the other side. So where the start of the brow meets where the hair goes at the top, where these two lines intersect. Now I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom, where the bottom of the hair grows, the bottom line, and then also where it meets the start of the brow. Next, I'm going to make a dot where the height of the arch meets the arch line. height of the arch meets the arch line. Next, I'm going to make a dot where the tail meets the end of the brow. All right, so what we're going to do next is start to connect the dots. So now I'm going to connect the start of my brow to my arch. So relax your brows. I'm just gonna darken this line. You really want to push this string into the skin as hard as you can. That way your line is very visible, especially when there's hair that's growing at the top, because it can make it hard to see. So now I'm going to connect the arch to the tail. So I'm going to connect these two dots. All right, so I was able to connect the start of the brow to the arch to the tail. So for this part, we're gonna do the same thing at the bottom, but we don't know where to connect this line to. There's no dot here. So what we're gonna do is take our caliper ruler and we are gonna measure the thickness of the brow. So where the hair grows at the top and the bottom. Once we have that measurement, we are going to take our gel pen and our caliper ruler. So I'm going to take this part of my caliper ruler and place it on the dot that we made here for the arch. I angle my caliper ruler on my line, and I'm going to place a dot on the other side. So now we know this is going to connect to here, and the bottom of the arch is going to connect to the tail. And we're going to do the same on the other side, and make sure that your caliper ruler is angled on your arch line. So now I can double check my measurements and make sure both of these are the same, because we don't want one eyebrow thicker than the other. All right, and they are the same. So now it is time to connect the start of the brow, the bottom of the brow to the bottom of the arch. And lastly, I'm going to connect the bottom of the arch to the tail. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is shave the hairs around my mapping. You can kind of see an eyebrow now. I'm going to take an eyebrow razor and shave around my lines. A lot of clients will ask if they should get their eyebrows done before they come in. I prefer my clients to let them grow in. That way I can see how their natural brows grow and just enhance and define what they naturally have. And then I like to brush the hairs up and trim any hairs that are outside of my mapping.